Okay. So Mahima, because today's topic is, relationships. So, because you have worked with so many people in the past couple of years, what do you think are the most, prominent issues that people are having in terms of relationships during the lockdown? Yeah. So, what are the main problems
Yeah,
that people are coming up with?
yeah. So I think I must say this, and this is important,
Hmm.
that the lockdown in itself is extremely hard.
Yeah.
Right? I see all these posts about, oh wow, finally it's time to do what you like, and time to spend that time, quality time with your partner, and come on, go for it, do that thing you always wanted to, follow that hobby, or all of those
Yeah.
things. But I also want to kind of throw light on the other aspects of it, which is
Hmm.
slightly more challenging. This
Yes.
is also the time that I think we usually never spend this much time with our own inner voices, and
Yes.
sometimes that can be really harsh. So I
Yes.
think the lockdown in itself is not a really positive experience for a lot of us,
Correct.
and sadly the not so pleasant part of it doesn't really get spoken about. So
Yes.
the lockdown in itself is very hard, and I think what how it's affected relationships mostly, like I see clients on a daily basis,
Hmm.
and what I hear from them is that one is either it's become too overwhelming because you're kind of locked down in the same place, you don't have
Hmm.
enough distance as
Yes.
such,
Hmm.
everything's overlapping now, you're in each other's spaces too much,
Hmm.
or it's the distance that hey, we could at least meet once a week now,
Ah,
even that's not possible.
yeah.
Yeah, so I think this has been the biggest challenge, one, the lockdown in itself being really hard,
Hmm.
and that again taking a toll on the kind of relationships that you share with people around.
Okay, this absolutely makes sense. Yeah, this is
Yeah,
a very realistic picture and you put it very nicely. Okay, thank you for
yeah,
that.
thank you.
There is some insect touring my room anyway. Uh,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
yes, so let's talk about before we. So you said that you would be coming up with your three secrets to maintaining a good healthy
yeah,
relationship. Yeah. So before we get to that topic, let's
yeah,
first
yeah,
discuss what do you
absolutely.
think? Yeah. So what do you
Mm-hmm.
think is the biggest mistake that people make in
Mm,
relationships during this lockdown? What is that one biggest mistake that people are making?
yeah. Yeah, so I think a really big mistake, I don't know, I don't like to call it a mistake, but what's challenging for a lot of people during this lockdown is that this whole notion of, oh, my relationship is not good enough. Like a lot of my clients have been feeling this way, that, I'm so unhappy. Oh, something must be wrong with my relationship. Oh my God, like we've been married for like, say, so many years, and now suddenly we're, quarantined together, and I seem to hate this person, right? Oh my
Hmm.
God, there must be something wrong with my relationship. Oh my God, we're not able to do distance. Can't we be apart for just a month? Oh, there must be something wrong with my relationship, right?
Okay.
So
So
I think the biggest misconception, or, the kind of challenge that people are facing
hmm,
is that they're not taking the context into the picture,
okay.
right? Yeah, because all of this is happening in a very contextual environment. We
Yes.
don't go through this in normal life.
Yes.
In normal life, there's no pandemic happening outside. We don't have to wear masks and step out. We're
Yeah.
not practicing social distancing,
Yeah.
right? And that again, I think is making people look at their relationships with those lenses,
Hmm.
which I don't think is the usual lens with which we look at our relationships.
Hmm. Correct.
Problems seem bigger,
Yes. Correct.
right? So I think that's one big thing that's been happening
Hmm.
with a lot of my clients, and I've been working towards putting things into perspective for them, acknowledging how big this pandemic is.
Okay. So what you are
Yeah,
meaning to say is probably we are over exaggerating because
yeah,
the context is like that. If things are getting big, but just if you look at the thing itself, it's not really that much.
absolutely. And it doesn't mean you're in the wrong relationship as such.
Correct.
Does that make sense?
Yes,
It could be that
absolutely.
this context is bringing out that person. Maybe your partner is having more anxiety than usual,
Hmm. Correct.
right?
This
That doesn't
absolutely makes
mean your relationship is broken.
correct.
Yeah,
So I'm glad I brought you here because this is a very interesting perspective, and I'm sure whoever's listening to this will benefit from this single point that you mentioned. It's
yeah,
absolutely beautifully put. Thank
I
you.
hope so. Yeah. All my things come from my clients, definitely,
Yes,
because they bring it to the sessions. I'm able to kind of share it with you all today.
correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So we just talked about the biggest challenge, the biggest
Mm.
misconception that we are facing in terms of relationships.
Yeah.
So let's. So now I would finally want you to discuss your three secrets that you had told me that these people could use in this time to maintain a healthy relationship. So
Okay.
what are these three secrets?
Yeah. So I think these are not just during this time. It will definitely help during the lockdown. But I believe these are three things that will help you otherwise as well.
Hmm.
Just in generally in your life. And I think the number one has to absolutely be communication,
Okay.
because that's very very important, that
Yeah.
you're able to kind of when you say a relationship, it's usually built on communication.
Yes.
Because unless you tell another person, the other person, even as psychologists, we can't read minds.
We can't.
So expecting that from a partner would just be
Too
very
much to ask
unrealistic.
for.
Too
Yeah.
much to ask for, absolutely.
Hmm.
So I think communication is very important, and by that I mean both the sides of communication. One is being able to talk about your challenges, like
Hmm.
if this pandemic is bringing in anxiety, talk to your partner about it.
Hmm.
Ask them if they're in the mind space where they can listen to you and give you that uninterrupted time, and talk to them about it. See what support you can get. uh,
Okay.
yeah, so I think communication is one, the
Yeah.
sharing part is one, and the second is listening.
Hmm.
I think, Ruchika, I realized the importance of listening after coming into this profession, honestly. You remember having classes on listening, like the amount of
Oh,
lectures we have
yes,
had on why listening is
absolutely.
important.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it all paid off, and it is really important.
Yes.
So I think it's true that we as humans, when someone is saying something,
Hmm.
and especially if you're on two different sides, which happens a lot in relationships, if you look at, especially when you're talking about a conflict,
Hmm.
we listen to respond. Like you're saying something, I'm like, I know how to counter this point.
Yes.
Yeah, so often we stop listening. Right there you stop listening. It's those 10 seconds you've listened to what you're saying, and then I'm almost framing my own argument.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's important that we listen to listen, not listen
Hmm.
to respond,
Hmm. So
if
the
that
first,
makes sense.
yes. So the first point you said is, um, the first point was
Communication, just sharing.
communication,
Sharing,
sharing.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
So,
absolutely, just
so
share.
one thing that I found very useful in your first point was to first ask them if they are in a mind space to
Yeah,
listen to us, to pay
yeah,
that much attention. So when
absolutely,
you have that acceptance, it like gives you a safe space to talk. So this is the
absolutely.
first thing. Like communicate what you're feeling. Don't
Yeah,
expect
yeah,
them to understand what you're thinking on their own.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay. And
yeah,
the second thing,
was listening.
listening.
That
So
listen to
listening to listen,
actually listen.
not
Yeah,
to
yeah,
respond. Yeah.
not to respond. And sometimes you don't even need to respond, right, Ruchika? Even
Yeah.
as therapists, sometimes it's not really about responding, it's about
Yes.
taking in what they're saying
Yes.
and just being there for them.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes a partner has to have some therapy skills. So
Yes.
just listening to listen is
Yes.
it can really be very powerful and can go a
Yes.
long way in
Okay.
comforting someone, in extending that kind of support.
Hmm. Awesome. So
Yeah.
we've already covered two secrets, and now what is your third and final
No, I
secret?
think I clubbed this under one, communication.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And I think the second one that I want to kind of put some light on, and I feel is a big secret, and if we get this right, we can really manage relationships well,
Yeah.
is boundaries.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think a lot of us, including me and people I know, and also my clients, we find ourselves stuck between I versus we, especially with a relationship,
Yes.
right? Sometimes you realize that, oh, I just got melted away in we,
Hmm.
or there's no enough we. I want more of we. It's only I. We
It's
seem to do
only
everything separately.
yeah.
So, and I think there's no magical formula as such. Again,
Yes.
going back to communication, it's important to communicate,
Yes.
but it's also important for you to introspect on what is your ideal ratio of I is to we. what
Hmm.
what would you like? What are those things you would like if you
Hmm.
could do it together? And it's no crime to kind of want to do some things on your own as well.
It's definitely not.
Absolutely. And especially in this pandemic, for some of my clients, what has also helped is, sharing the anxiety with a partner, but also dealing with it on their own, so that the entire burden's not on the partner. Maybe using art. One of my clients, paints every day, and that really helps her anxiety. And her husband was also very grateful that, the entire thing doesn't get dumped on him. And he's like, I'm not a mental health professional, so I don't know what to do a lot of the times. When she keeps sharing her fears and, I don't know what to do. And, they managed to find a balance.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think boundaries are extremely, extremely important,
Absolutely.
in a relationship. So I think that if you get it right and have that difficult conversation and come to a understanding, I think you can really prosper with your own happiness and the happiness that you get from your relationship as well. Yeah.
So it's I think it sounds like, being honest about your needs, but then at the same time telling your partner that this is something that I want to do on my own, and to have that space for yourself.
Absolutely. Yeah. And your partner should, ideally have that as well.
Yeah.
Something that they do, something that they enjoy, and they can rejuvenate and they can come back to you rejuvenated as well. Yeah. Yeah.
This makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So communication and boundaries.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Third secret, Mahima.
Third one. Yeah. Okay. So my favorite. So I think the third one is intimacy. And I don't just mean like sexual intimacy. It can also be physical intimacy, intimacy with regards to quality time.
Okay.
Yeah, we've seen the scene way too often where, you go to a restaurant, two people are having dinner, both of them are on their phone, or both of them are busy Instagramming pictures. Yeah. So, I think that happens a lot these days. So being a little mindful and, putting your phones aside maybe. Having that quality time, I think, becomes very important. Intimacy is something that really keeps that spark in the relationship, I think, alive. And it is possible to keep it alive over a long period of time as well.
Yes.
Trying new things, getting to know each other in different ways also, because we all change and grow every single day.
Yes.
So getting to know your partner, something new they've learned, or, some new thing they've picked up. I have this thing where whenever I have a new client, I pick up the way they speak sometimes. It becomes, because I'm constantly conversing, it happens. And my partner is very like, oh, this is new about you. Did you have a new client? Oh, where's this accent coming from? So it's really, it keeps that spark alive that, this person's able to notice small things about you. Yeah. So I think intimacy is another big game changer for relationships. This, it's not just managing, but I think it comes under growth.
Yes.
Right? That's how a relationship grows, honestly.
Definitely.
Yeah. So becoming more and more intimate, layers of intimacy.
Okay.
Yeah.
So because we are talking about intimacy, I just have one question, because a lot of couples are having this issue that, after a few years into marriage, they feel that the spark is not there.
Yeah.
So if you could just give them one tip to maintain that spark, probably if they are right now in a marriage, a couple of years into marriage, and they are like, it's all gone, kuch nahi hai. It's like he's someone else, I'm someone else. So what do you have to say to these couples who are having these issues?
I think the first step would be to really introspect about your marriage. Look at the journey that you've walked, and would you still want to be a part of that journey? Do you still want to walk that journey with the other person? Be honest about this with each other. See where you stand, and then probably, keep aside quality time, maybe once a week. Do date.
It's like a ritual thing that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Have a ritual. Do a date night. And it can be something different every single time. You don't have to be artists to paint together. You don't have to be, like a perfect chef to cook for each other. Yeah. Do those little things for each other. Keep aside that time where you can bond, no phones. And if possible, get that, get someone to babysit your children if there are children involved in the picture. Most often, I think, and this is something I've seen with my parents too, Ruchika, that after me and my brother were born, I don't think they know they're a couple any longer. They're mostly parents,
Yes.
and now that we have grown up, they are reconnecting as a couple, and it's very cute to see, those little things, and they're just chasing each other around the house, and we're just like, what is happening? So I think they're reconnecting now that we are grown up and we're not as dependent on them. But this happens very often where couples really become so indulged in being parents that the couple diet is somewhere, lost. Yeah. So keep aside time for that. Nurture it.
Okay.
Yeah.
This
And
makes a lot of sense.
another good idea is also to kind of maybe nurture a plant together. Like have a plant in your room, and it's both of your responsibility to nurture it.
Okay, this is interesting.
Yeah, this is something that I suggest couples who have just moved in together, or been together for a while, and they don't have anything exciting to do, or like you said, they're just like, yeah, we just have very different lives. He's like an engineer, I'm like into arts, and there's nothing really common to even talk about and things like that. So this is something which they find it's fun, and at the same time it's also quite you're nurturing something, so it's almost symbolic to nurturing your relationship.
Okay, awesome. So very, very good, very useful, and I think very, very realistic three secrets that you've given.
Yeah,
So although they sound very simple, but I think these could actually be the foundations of a good relationship.
absolutely. That's why I said it's not just the lockdown. I think it will be helpful otherwise as well.
Otherwise as well.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, awesome. So thank you so much for these three secrets.
You're
And
welcome.
let me just check if there are uh, okay, so let's tell our viewers that if you have any questions, you can please post them as comments and we will take them shortly. So till then, we will
Yeah,
just have one more question of discussion and you
yeah.
have that much time to post your comments, your questions.
Absolutely. And I feel relationships are also like something very subjective. So
Yes.
the experience is very different. So I do encourage a lot of questions. That's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, I'm going to talk about these things, but will everyone be able to relate to it? And I know that everyone relates to it differently.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So please ask us your questions.
Yeah.
I'll be more than happy to kind of customize it to your experience and see how best I can answer those questions.
Yes. All right. So we are waiting for questions. And so till then,
Yeah.
uh, if our viewers need to know more about you, where they can find you.
They can find me on Instagram. I'm available on Facebook as well. So you can get in touch with me. It is a private account on Instagram, but I still do reply to most of my DMs, and I do share a lot of mental health content as well to kind of benefit people. And I call myself a mental health warrior. So it's a part of my identity almost. So that's there, and I will share my calendar link with you. Like, I'm a practicing psychologist, and I've recently just gone into private practice. So I can share a link to my calendar. And like you rightly said, Ruchika, in the beginning itself, that there are some issues where these tips will be very helpful, and you can kind of do this on your own, and you will see a difference, and you will be like, yeah, I've combated the problem. But sometimes there could be deeper issues, which might surface again and
Need
again.
a
And
therapist.
and you definitely need a therapist, and a person with that professional capacity who can really then pick out those patterns of what's happening between the two of you.
Yes.
So feel free to kind of book a session, or even just leave me an email. I can share my email ID with you as well, and
All
you can
right.
do that as well. Just about your queries, about if you're curious about how the therapy is going to go, and I would be more than happy to answer those questions for you.
All right. So for our viewers, you can find Mahima on Facebook, Instagram. So we are going to put up her link below this. Wherever you are watching this live session, we are going to put up links where you can find her, and that's how you can get in touch with her. So I don't think our viewers really have questions.
Oh, I see. It's either abundantly clear or they're just very confused.
Correct. Maybe.
I hope it's the former.
Yeah, I'm hoping the same.
Yeah.
All right. So if you have any final words of wisdom, any final thing that you would want to share with them, what
Yeah.
would it be?
I think first is to really learn to acknowledge that this pandemic is very real and it has been taking a toll on all of us. Just, I think, acknowledging an emotion or a situation
Hmm.
really can help you think about it differently. It
Hmm.
may help you take it more seriously. It may help put things into perspective as to
Perspective.
why something's being so difficult for you.
Yes.
Yeah, just setting the context before you can see the issue, seeing
Yes.
the issue in the context. I think that is that would be a first step, and then probably going towards what the issue really is, understanding each other, all of those secrets, communication, boundaries, intimacy, all of that.
Okay. So
Yeah,
this puts things into a lot of perspective.
yeah,
See things because right now there's a pandemic and accordingly you have
absolutely.
to
Yeah,
respond.
yeah.
Okay. Awesome. So no questions yet. Okay.
Okay.
So not a problem. So if we have questions later,
Yeah,
if people are free to put questions as comments, and then we both can address these questions. And I will be tagging
absolutely.
you in the post, and you can help
Please
them
do.
out as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So thank you so much, Mahima, for taking
Thank you,
out
Ruchika.
time
Yes.
for this Facebook group, and I am happy that you put so many interesting points. And if people watch this, they will really get a lot of value from this. Yeah.
Yeah, I really hope so too. And thank you so much for having me. It was so great.
Absolutely my pleasure.
Yeah, reconnecting with you after all this time.
After a lot of time.
Yeah,